Lawmen are probing a suspected murder in St. Thomas. Dead is 53-year-old Morita Ford, an employee of telecoms company Lime. Her lifeless body was discovered by neighbors at her home in Fisher Pond, St. Thomas this morning. Lisa Broom reports.
Smoke and fire shattered the serenity of the close-knit Fisher Pond neighborhood in the wee hours of this morning. Witnesses say they first saw fire in the area of 53-year-old Morita Ford's bedroom and rushed to help. The Good Samaritans say they pulled her out of the fire, only to realize she had already passed away. Joycelyn Boucher, Morita's cousin, gave CBC an account of what happened.
And I heard a knocking, and when my son rushed to the door, someone said, "Come out, Morita's house is on fire." He came back and said, "Morita's bedroom is on fire." And we all rushed out, and he rushed into the house and probably tried to help, not realizing what was wrong.
Reverend Suzanne Ellis of the St. Augustine Anglican Church, where Morita was a devoted member, was on the scene. She was comforting distraught family members. Reverend Ellis described Morita as meticulous and hard-working.
Miss Ford is the secretary of the church's council, and she and I would have worked extremely closely together in the 2 years that I've been assigned at St. Augustine. And Morita is a beautiful person, meticulous. She works extremely hard both at her regular job and as the secretary of the church council, and we are all saddened.
Fellow church member Frank Garnes says Morita was aware of the dangerous times and she took a keen interest in his safety.
On Sunday evening after the council meeting, Morita took me home as usual to Sweet Bottom where we live. And she did not leave until I stepped in at my door. And I said to myself, well, knowing what is happening around in this society, I hope Morita will be careful when she leaves her car to go into the house. But since she waited until I came in, she's aware of what could happen.
Police Public Relations Officer Inspector David Welch says firemen responded to the call just after 3 and discovered the woman's body on the scene. Morita would have been 54 next month. Lisa Broom, CBC News.
Thanks, Lisa. A swift response from firefighters last night averted major damage following a fire in the city. It was around 11 o'clock when firemen from the Probin Street headquarters responded to a fire that started at a new clothing store called New Image on Tudor Street. Firemen said minimal fire damage was restricted to the building's 2 upper floors, while the ground floor received water damage. Calvin Rowe, one of the managers of the new store, was able to recover all of the clothing items. He told CBC what happened.
There was no moving in, but not staff and thing doing a little carpenter work, and I was going upstairs and I heard a noise, and I went and checked it out. And when they saw it, thought it was water, but when they really checked, it was like fire burning, so he came back downstairs and tell everybody that got fed there, and everybody like get together and see other people outside and tell them call the fire truck and move out some things and things. And that's how we managed to get all these things out of here, and what we're seeing here right now.
It appears that a couple was the target of the latest shooting incident, which occurred around 10:20 this morning near to the St. Matthias Court in Christchurch. Police Public Relations Officer Inspector David Welch told CBC News a husband and wife were travelling in their motor car along Pleasant Hall Road when 2 unidentified men shot at them. He says the 2 were not injured by the shooting, but the driver lost control of the vehicle and crashed into the guard wall of a nearby residence. They sustained minor injuries to the head and shin. Inspector Welch says police will withhold the identity of the couple involved for the time being. An eyewitness told CBC what she saw.
Carry away to look at his children. So when he was coming back, or whatever the case is, probably whoever thought he had a man care school, somebody at school. So they never like to see he then. He give the main talk. He give one the main talk. And when he give one the main thing, and when the main tell you something, man cannot see he flat him out with the Collins, and he flat him out with the Collins, the man start shooting back at him.
In other news tonight, historic Bridgetown is in for a makeover with the completion of 2 multi-million-dollar projects. Phase 1 of the Church Village project, and Phase 2 of the redevelopment of the Constitution River. We hear more now in this report from Kishmar St-Juste.
Picture this area a few years ago. Now look at it, a drastic improvement. Phase 2 of the Constitution River redevelopment project is taking shape, it's on time, and is to be completed in early 2014.
We are on track currently, and the project is supposed to be completed before the end of January 2014. We commenced construction in July 2012 with removal of the small concrete channel in the middle of the river and excavation of the river banks.
The project is aimed at enhancing the area between the Charles Duncan O'Neill Bridge that's way behind me, right up to the James A. Tudor roundabout that's up by the Globe Cinema. Now, during the press briefing this morning, officials expressed concern over theft, indiscriminate dumping, and vandalism.
There's not only theft of the buoys, but also the metal gratings for the drainage across the pedestrian bridge. Those were stolen nearly a year and a half ago. So there's a lot of theft of public property for most of the projects. And that's a major problem. And they do not appreciate that, the parents or even the adults don't appreciate that we have to put it back through taxpayers' money, through our money that we put into the treasury every day. So public education is key.
Now guess where this is? Lucas Street, Bridgetown. Phase 1 of the Church Village Project 2 is at an advanced stage, and it's to be completed early next year as well.
The whole purpose of this project is to enhance the experience of people visiting the city. It is about creating a green space and about creating novelty, difference from the parks that you already have visited. The mangrove pond is in the south of the site, and it is recreating the type of vegetation and atmosphere that used to exist there many years ago.
Phase 2 is even more ambitious, according to the consultants.
There are plans to ensure that the current road which drives under, which allows passage under the bank building, would be closed to traffic, which is vehicle traffic, so that there would be an enhanced safety and security of the bank building itself, which is a critical facility.
Both projects have received a passing grade by Barbadians.
Kishmar St-Juste there reporting. Barbadian superstar Rihanna is in town. The Grammy Award-winning songstress was at Cape Shepherd's duty-free store in Bridgetown this afternoon for the official launch of her latest perfume, Rogue. She took time out to meet and greet the prospective customers, as well as scores of fans and well-wishers. She later went through Swan Street with a huge following, some of who used every vantage point to get a glimpse and to take pictures of the megastar. Event planner for Duty Free Caribbean, Kim Tatum, spoke about the launch.
Today we launched Rihanna's fourth fragrance, and Rogue, and it went very, very well. Of course, as you can see, we had a crowd of people here, and actually we just had Rihanna passing through.
Well, for some of the people present, it was all about Rihanna, while some also came for the new perfume.
The experience today, even though Rihanna's show was cancelled in Barbados, the experience today could never replace, like a show could never replace that. So Barbados, I think, has a lot to offer with Rihanna being here, and not only with her being here, but I've been to Barbados 6 times, and I just feel so at home when I'm here.
It's lovely, delicious.
Well, agents of the local rum Cottspur partnering with Cape Shepherd used that occasion to market some of their new products in store.
Rihanna, as we all know, launched her new Rogue cologne today. And Rihanna's 100% Bajan, just like Cottspur rum. If you all know, she's been here over the years. She's partied with the Cottspur this year for Carnival. So with that being happening also, we more or less teamed up with Cape Shepherd to be here today to sample basically rum punch for everyone purchasing her product, and so they can have the opportunity to enjoy the Cottspur rum punch that she actually loves as well.
There is support for doctors and other medical professionals accused of granting sick leave indiscriminately to patients. That support is coming from Professor Emeritus Senator Henry Fraser. He says medical professionals are generally in a bind when dealing with these situations. Professor Fraser made the comment at a seminar on occupational safety and health, addressing productivity and economic issues.
Sometimes it's a genuine inability for the physician to know whether the patient is indeed compromised because there is no objective evidence. It is not like having a broken foot. And so they are compromised because of the inability to be certain about the diagnosis, or the inability to know the patient well enough to know whether they are indeed malingering or not. And the patient is inevitably given the benefit of the doubt.
Professor Fraser also does not support the argument that private doctors give sick leave because they do not want to lose their patients.
But we have the same situation in the hospital, which is unrelated to any kind of fee, where in hospital clinics patients present saying, well, my neck is hurting, my back is hurting, and it's very difficult for the doctor to know exactly what to do. So the issue of the patient and the cultural, societal attitudes about his responsibility when compromised is a difficult one. Of course, what we don't want is for someone to come down with a bad bout of the flu and to be so dedicated and convinced that he must work that in a very closed environment he goes to work and he gives that bad case of flu to everyone else around him.
A prominent agricultural consultant believes Barbados will not reach developed country status by 2020 unless there is a radical change in the attitude towards agriculture. This view from UWI consultant and Director Emeritus of the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, Dr. Charleston Brathwaite. Full developed country status is outlined as part of Barbados' policy for the United Nations Millennium Development Goals. Dr. Brathwaite says food security is crucial to attaining developed country status, and he has yet to see any real movement in that direction. He made the comment earlier today during the University in the Community Lunchtime Lecture held at the Grand Salle of the Central Bank.
There are those who believe that by 2020 we shall become parts of the developed world. My own perception is it is not going to happen until we improve our food security, because as long as you continue to send that amount of money out of your country to others, not only for food, also for energy. What is our number here? 800 million?
Well, someone with a really good idea for a community program could get a $50,000 injection to get it going. That's the offer from construction company JADA through its new initiative, the JADA One Idea Project. Anyone who wants to submit their idea can do so through jadaoneidea.com. Close to 10 entries have already been received. Chairman of the JADA Group, Bjorn Bjerkum, says this is just another way of giving back to the community.
We are now in a position that we can actually do it in a way that opens it to the public to come to us with ideas of what they feel is needed in their particular community in order that it could work better. We're very happy to help in this matter. We do help, we do a lot of other stuff which really most of the time goes pretty unnoticed because we just do it and don't make a fuss about it. But in this particular instance, we're very happy to do it in this fashion.
Director of Constituency Empowerment Kurt Humphrey, in welcoming the project during a press briefing at Port St. Charles, described it as one of the most innovative coming out of the private sector.
This project speaks to being fully aware of what social responsibility means in a real meaningful, tangible way. And for that reason alone, I think the minister who has given this project his full support, I should say, the minister, the Honorable Stephen Blackett, for that reason alone, we felt that this was a project that was worthwhile. If you look at social policy, for it to work, you need to have the state, of course, which we represent. You need to have a strong NGO sector. You need to have labor, but you also need a very strong private sector to be involved. And for that reason, I think this makes sense.
With increasing numbers attending the National Independence Festival of Creative Arts, the National Cultural Foundation isn't ruling out the possibility of having to relocate to a bigger venue. Cultural Officer with the NCF, Andrea Wells, meanwhile, says the present location, the Frank Cullimore Hall, is ideal for now, and she doesn't foresee any move just yet.
Well, if we can have a purpose-built venue to accommodate 1,500 people, that would be perfect. And then we know NIFCO would have a new home. But apart from the Frank Culmer Hall right now, which is an ideal space for the performing arts, we'd have to move from there to the gymnasium, which is a jump from 500 to 6. We don't think that our market can grow that quickly. So an intermediate size venue would be ideal. If you know of any benefactors, just let us know.